This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
Feed me, meow, meow, meow.
Because of this podcast, I'm a gay icon.
I'm so hot. I'm so good looking. My salad dressing is amazing.
Like the internet at large, there are things you can do on the internet besides porn, but most of it's porn.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on both Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. I am Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
So much tension.
I'm mad at you.
Kurt, can you pull your mic a little closer? You sound really far away to your mouth. Oh, it was up. There you go.
How's that?
Yeah, much better. Now we can really feel the tension.
All right, good.
You traumatized me, and I'm mad at you.
Okay, now how am I responsible for this? Well, what are you talking about first? Let's.
Kurt, you made me watch that movie, American Family, on Hulu, and both me and my cat were traumatized.
It's a series, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a series, yeah. He keeps saying it's a movie.
Great American Family. This is the Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass one.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Now, how am I?
Your fault.
Why? How is this my fault? I told you last week.
You put the idea in my head.
I told you. I do know people listen to our opinions sometimes, and then they'll actually watch the shows. But I think I gave a negative opinion of it last week.
Kurt, you tempted me. You put an image in my head, and so I had to go look.
Was his image accurate, though? Did he paint a good portrait of what you've been watching, Les?
No, it was worse. That little kid looked like a monster.
I feel like Kurt sort of set the stage for that.
And she looked nothing like the real Natalia Grace.
Well, my complaint was that she looked too old. She didn't look a 7-year-old. The actress is 27.
40. She looked 40.
But isn't that kind of the premise of the show? Is that they don't know if this child they've adopted is actually a child?
But how do they not know if we're watching the show and we can kind of figure it out? That's something.
And she was an evil child. She would show up in the middle of the night with like knives and stuff.
All right. I mean, not to spoil it, but is it because it's based on a true story, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is this actually a child, or did it turn out to be an adult
in real life?
Yeah.
Well, according to what I'm sorry. What were you gonna say last? Because I was just reading up on
didn't they leave it ambiguous?
I don't know about the show, but in real life, apparently. Okay, I have this up here. Natalia Grace, they gave her, there was an August 2023 DNA test. The health testing company, a True Diagnostic, estimated that Grace was about 22 years old in 2023, which means that she would have been like 7 or 8 years old when she was adopted. So according to that, she was a little kid during that time.
Oh.
And the real Natalia Grace looks like she could be a little kid. Like, she looks like she could be a little kid. This woman in this movie did not look like a little kid for an instant.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. And it's ridiculous because I watched another episode because I knew you're going to bring this up. I don't think I can stand any more of this. But they noticed that the mother walks in on her in the bathroom, and she noticed she has pubic hair. But the episode before, she was going to give her a bath. Did they never give her a bath?
The little girl looked like Zelda Rubenstein.
You're kidding. You're mean, Lex. You're like one of these Reddit threads, because I did look up some
Reddit thread.
Well, I looked up some of the criticisms of this show, and so the actual critics are being it's not getting good reviews, but it's getting like maybe a C. I read some Reddit thread. It was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, there's no way this, like, the actress, like, there's no way that this actress could have you would have thought that she was 7 for a second.
Okay, take away the believability of this portrayal for a second. Is it at least campy fun to watch?
No, because okay, so if she would have looked like a little girl, if she would have looked like a little girl, or if she looked older and they acknowledged it and they were like, well, she does look a little old for her age, like it would have been more believable. But this was like, it was like, oh, this girl looks like a 60-year-old. Oh, well.
Well, this is what I think is part of the issue going on with this show too, is that I think there's some cultural sensitivity happening, which I'm all for, but it's kind of working in the show's favor and detriment. Because there's a disabled person in the show, I think the critics are being maybe kinder than they could be.
Fair.
And then also that also prevents it from being campy, because you're not going to like laugh at somebody who's actually, because it's a real disabled person in the show. So it just doesn't take on.
Well, I mean, you could laugh at the camp of just it's a bad portrayal of this story, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bad portrayal, and I know little people. And you can tell that they're adults, even if their height, you can tell that they're adults.
Yeah.
I think Hulu is like staggering the show out. If I were Hulu, I would stop. I mean, aren't you embarrassed?
I mean, we're still talking about it, aren't we? That means people are probably learning about it and finding the show. Like,
I guess, but watch at your own risk.
I mean, what they should have done is had June Squibb play the kid.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I have one up on that. This is the idea I had today, is that they should have had the real Natalia Grace play the role. I mean, she can act.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That would have been something to see.
Right.
Might as well.
But yeah, the little girl more than once showed up in her parents' bedrooms in the middle of the night with like big butcher knives.
Yeah, she keeps getting the same knife out of there. She keeps opening a drawer and getting a knife out. It's the same thing.
And like just standing in the dark looking at her mother with the knife.
Would you say this show is more menacing than the Lifetime movie we watched this week? Because it was kind of devoid of any real terror.
So this Lifetime movie was once again from the wonderful world of the Park Ranger School of Dramatic Arts.
There was some of that.
The Lifetime movie is better than Good.
Yeah, it is better.
Oh, okay.
And there are dumb characters in this too, but at least they're leaning into the dumbness. They're not leaning in on the show.
There were things that I liked about this movie.
I actually enjoyed this movie. Was so dumb, even though it was based on or inspired by true events. I think it said it's so dumb, but I found it enjoyable much more than I thought I would. My husband's 7 wives.
And you know who I really enjoyed? I enjoyed the criminals.
Oh, I loved the criminals. Give them a show. Give them a show.
Funny.
They were probably the most developed characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Were the two criminals who had very little screen time, but they're in like 2 or 3 scenes. Give them a show.
They were absolutely charming, actually.
That's what they should have kind of just combined those 2 shows. They could have had the people in this movie. They could have adopted the little girl. And then maybe I'd the little girl would have been one of the wives in this movie.
If you center the show around the criminals, they can get involved with new crimemen every week. So one week it's with these 7 wives and the husband. The next week it's with this Natalia Grace story. You know, possibilities are endless.
And
these are all real events, huh? Jesus.
They're friendly. They're willing to work out deals.
Well, I mean, in all seriousness, like we always see these procedurals on TV where it's like, you know, people are solving a crime or there's like a medical case of the week. Have we ever seen a show from where the criminals are the ones that are encountering new things every week? Where it's like they're involved in a new crime every week.
I don't think so.
That would be a
It could
fun
be
twist.
It could be a spin-off of Elsbeth.
That's another idea we're giving away.
It could be like one of her criminals, because she befriends the criminals a lot of the time.
Oh, Austin Television Festival, ATX, the Elsbeth is going to be one of the panels this year. They just announced it today.
Let's go to Austin.
Yeah.
I love that show so much. But Elsbeth, that's part of, she's so friendly, she befriends the criminals, and the criminals end up liking her a lot of time.
She's smart. Did I bring this up before? What happened to that show where it was a cleaning lady, but she was a genius? Have I brought that up before?
Oh, High Potential on ABC.
That's what it's called? Okay. And that's still on?
That's the one with Caitlin Olsen.
Is it?
From Always
I'm not
Sunny?
sure who's on it. Okay.
Does she solve crime?
Well, because there was the cleaning lady on Fox, but I think you're talking about High Potential with Caitlin Olsen.
Now,
where she notices like little details and pieces things together.
I think that's what it is.
Okay, does she have powers?
No,
she just has like a real knack of noticing tiny details.
Does she solve crime?
Yes.
Oh, she does.
Yes.
You might like that, Les, because I think that was
it's a huge hit for ABC. It's been renewed for next season.
Well, a crime-solving cleaning lady, I'm in.
I figured. I think that's kind of in the same genre of Elsbeth.
Yeah, it is.
You might like that, Les.
But Elsbeth is an autistic crime-solving lawyer.
Oh. Did you guys watch Adolescence?
Not yet.
Netflix?
No, not yet. I'm still getting caught up on White Lotus. I'm 2 episodes behind.
Okay. I watched
White Lotus is good.
It has been.
Next week's the finale.
I know.
Oh my gosh!
I finally saw the Sam Rockwell monologue. Whoa!
Wasn't it good?
Whoa!
Oh, I haven't not watched that show yet. Okay,
yeah,
he's on it.
Monologue.
He's in one episode. His wife is in the season. His real life wife, and he has I'd say it's a glorified cameo, but he'll probably win an Emmy for it for this truly bonkers monologue.
Okay. And we're without revealing too much. No, we're not done with him.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not.
I can see that. That makes sense. That makes sense, actually.
Okay.
So we were at a dinner party last night.
Okay.
And my friend whose house we were at was telling us, he was like, the other day he was in a hurry. He was rushing out. He was rushing out the door. His neighbor stopped him, and he's thinking, oh shit, I got to get to where I'm going. But his neighbor was just like, I just wanted to introduce you to our other neighbor. And the neighbor was Greg from White Lotus.
Oh, right on.
Wow. He's like, so I stopped and talked to him.
That's cool.
I heard he's very, very nice in real life.
Yeah. Like, I was listening to an interview with the woman who plays Belinda. And they're actually friends in real life. And she's like, the thing that gets her about doing it this season is he's so nice that it kind of like knocks her off of her guard sometimes because it's so unlike him.
You listened to Las Culturistas last week.
Yes, I did.
It was that.
I'm a Katie.
I don't know what I identify as.
I have to watch this show.
Las Culturistas, they call their listeners either Katies or readers.
Or publicists, or Kyles, or there's one other one now, too.
This is a podcast you're listening to?
Yeah. It's a very, very, very wildly successful podcast with Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers.
So they started this podcast before they got famous.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They started the podcast before they got famous, and then they got famous while doing the podcast.
They've been doing it for 9 years.
Yeah. Ding dong.
There's hope for us too, guys. We've been doing this for a long time now.
Yeah. Not 9 years yet, but I think we're closing in.
Anywho, speaking of ding dong, Kurt, do you have any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Okay, this is from Access Online. Angela Blac Chyna White opens up about giving back after Altadena fire. Angela White is doing her part to help those impacted by the Eaton Fire. The 36-year-old entrepreneur chatted with Access Hollywood about what she is doing to help those in need. I've partnered with Mixed Behaviors Foundation, and we're basically going out to the community and reaching out to the families to go and help them because, when it first happened, everyone was, oh, the fires, but now nobody's doing anything, she told Access Hollywood, before admitting why it's important that even months after the fires were put out, people continue to give back. It's very upsetting to me because people aren't helping. And if I could use my likeliness and my support and my energy and my love to pour into these families while partnering with a really good foundation that's actually going to do what they say they're going to do, then I'm all in, she added. That's what it says. The Eaton Fire in Altadena, California started on January 7th and burned 14,021 acres. It was contained on January 31st. The cause is still under investigation. So she says, two of my really close friends lost their houses and their family houses. And now, we have to rebuild, and people have to understand that it isn't just, oh, you go and rebuild. It's steps to it. And I'm learning the steps to inform other people of how to go about it, she said. And she uses her voice for good. As she uses her voice for good, Angela is also revealing how she's teaching her kids, 12-year-old King Cairo and 8-year-old Dream, how to give back. I teach them not to hold on to things and put so much emphasis and value on materialistic things, she said. They are not materialistic kids at all, and they do share and they do care. Wow, we've come a long way since our days of Blac Chyna stories where she was screaming at people in an airport.
So throughout that entire story, I was listening because it was all about like Blac Chyna's giving back and she's teamed up to give back. Mm-hmm. They didn't say what she's doing.
Or what she's
wearing. What does this organization do? How are they giving back?
I don't know. But, well, she said, we're going out to the community and reaching out to the families. I guess she's just reaching out to them.
Do what? Reaching out with what? How is that help?
Well, you have to take that up with Blac Chyna.
I'm asking now. This would be a great opportunity to have Angela White on our podcast to talk about how she's giving back. We can ask the follow-up questions.
Yes, I think that's fair. Yeah, because is she just doing this for PR or is she really actually doing something? I think that's what you're trying to say.
I'm not. It's not even a dig against her specifically. Right. It's a little bit against her. It's a little bit against this. I'm assuming it's a charity, and a little bit against Access Hollywood. There are many opportunities to. If you're going to highlight a charity, say what the charity's doing so that people know how they're helping so that people can chip in.
Right.
Yes.
Well, they could look up that charity and check out to see it. What is it again? It was Mixed Behaviors Foundation. I don't know. I guess they got something going on. I do have some brief Ellen Pompeo news. It'll just take a minute.
Oh, okay.
You want to hear this?
And now, the Great American Family Report / Grey's Anatomy Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
The news is a little late because this is from 2021, but I just saw this on the Wikipedia page.
Wait, what? 2021?
Yes, but I wanted to share this because I thought that this is it'll be worth it. Okay, so in 2021, Pompeo told Patrick Dempsey on her podcast, Tell Me with Ellen Pompeo, that she remembered having an intense fight with actor Denzel Washington. Yes, Washington directed Pompeo in the 2016 Grey's Anatomy episode, The Sound of Silence. During filming, Washington took issue with Pompeo improvising dialogue, to which she said, listen, motherfucker, this is my show. This is my set. Who are you telling? You barely know where the bathroom is. She added that while things calmed down, she said Washington doesn't know shit about directing TV. Wow.
I actually am with Ellen Pompeo in this case. And I remember when this story was in the news because directing episodic television is a very different beast than directing a film. When you're directing a feature film, the director is kind of top of the totem pole. In TV, they have different directors every week. So the top of the totem pole is the showrunner, the supervising producer. And in this case, like Ellen's been on the show forever. She's an executive producer of the show. She's, she knows the ins and outs of all of those characters. more than a director who's in for one episode does.
And she is Meredith Grey, Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
All right. Just thought that was interesting. Giving a shit to Denzel.
Well, I think in
And
this
now
case, he did the wrong thing.
Okay.
But he's going to now look at this American Family movie and be like, Ellen, remember back in 2021?
Yeah, he's got a call her. He said, huh? You proud of yourself? Are you at least wrong about that?
Maybe this is Denzel playing the long game. Like he got in that fight with her, but he's like, I'm going to produce a TV show and Laura Ellen Pompeo in it. And the casting is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
He blindly sent her the script.
Yeah.
Take a look at this. Here's a good role for you.
And she's like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is nothing like Meredith. And so she took the role, and he's like, "Blah, ha, 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 ha,
I'll
ha."
teach you. The Equalizer.
The Equalizer.
Hey, do you like Queen Latifah's The Equalizer? She's pretty good.
Yeah.
She's good stuff. All right.
Jason, did you get your tickets for Lizzo?
I did, yes. They were fucking expensive.
Yes, I know. I got my Lizzo tickets too.
Lizzo is playing WeHo Pride this summer. It's a fairly good lineup for WeHo, but the prices have gotten out of control. And they had pre-sale for VIP, which my friend Brad had gotten a few weeks earlier, and I missed out on that. And so I bought mine on like the regular on sale day. It was like $150 more than the pre-sale was.
Yeah. Lizzo better be good.
I mean, I've seen her live. She'll be great. It's just, oof.
Those Lizzo tickets was the.
Yeah, you cut out there, Les.
No,
you said what?
My car payment is less expensive than the Lizzo ticket.
Yeah, I can see that.
Wow.
But the flip side for me is I paid about that much to see her at the Forum a couple of years ago, and to pay that same amount and I can walk down the street and be much closer to the stage at the same time, I'm all for it.
Oh, that's good.
Ain't my fault that I'm out here getting loose.
Lizzo?
Anyway. Yes.
My husband's.
You know who Lizzo is, right, Kurt?
Yes.
Gotta check.
Kurt
I
knows
know.
that it is bad bitch o'clock. He knows.
Yeah.
It's bad bitch o'clock.
It's also
all
thick
times.
30.
Yep.
Somebody took that song, that I used to know. That song. They
the
made it
Gautier
into a
song,
new
yeah.
song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, it's called what? Anxiety. The anxiety. Yeah.
I think that's what that
I
is.
forget.
Oh,
who
like the
did
Pat
it.
Benatar song?
No, they took the Gautier music. Somebody that I used to know. So it's that music, but it's a new song. She said like anxiety.
It's an EDM song.
Medium.
Beep, beep, beep. All right, let's get into this Seven Wives.
My husband's seven wives. What? Oh, they should do My Husband's Seven Wives for Seven Brothers.
I didn't count 7 though. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But-
I counted 6.
No, there are 7. There are 7.
There are 7.
Because there are the 4 that we actually see in the movie, and then we see one briefly, but she never speaks. And then we learn about the 2 earlier ones.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's one that we see. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's
And
7.
the thing is, this guy was not that hot.
There's
Yeah, but
there's a lot of holes
laugh.
in this movie. It's so
Jesus.
dumb. It's so dumb.
careful.
I want to know what story inspired this, because I know that there are guys that keep, many wives all over the place, but this guy was stealing money from them, but seemingly not really spending it on the other women. He was just banking it away.
Yeah.
It's like maybe
Yeah, he was
he had money troubles because he kept marrying people and he had to maintain all these homes and cars.
Right.
And my other issue is he never changed his name.
No.
That's good financial advice. Yeah, just don't have so many wives. That'll save you money.
Yeah. That's a Suze Orman tip.
Unless he made them laugh. So that's why he attracted them. Like Roger Rabbit.
Okay. So it's night. And we see a woman. And she's jogging. And it's a Lifetime movie, so of course, even though it's not safe to go jogging in an alley by yourself at night,
one would think
she's a Lifetime lady, and they don't think about those things.
She's not really in an alley. She's just like in a carport for her home, her very, very, very large home,
and a very, very empty carport in the middle of the night.
Yes.
The woman screamed, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have not seen a cold open in ages." And then we go back to 1 month ago. So she's at the library. Do people still go to the library?
They did in this movie. They used the library quite a bit in this movie.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be. This is something that's supported by taxpayers, and they're just in there, with.
Well,
anyway,
I will say, like, I know that the current administration wants to take away funding for libraries, and this movie is not make it a case to keep them because first of all, she's working at the library. She just immediately is like, okay, the library's closing in 5 minutes, and she just bolts the fuck out of there. The library's completely full of people. She just leaves.
Yeah, she just goes
and locks the door behind her. Everyone's locked.
I don't think this library's ever closed because she's conducting meetings and whatnot throughout the entire movie there.
Right. That's their home base.
In what's supposed to be a storage room, but looks like a classroom.
Yeah. So we see that she's in a small town, and she stops by a restaurant. And she picks up an order for lasagna, for some lasagna. Mm-hmm. And she's talking to the waitress. And she gives the waitress her card, and the card doesn't work.
No.
Oh.
And then the waitress tries again, and it doesn't work again. But she has cash. So then she goes home. And I wrote that she has a cute little house.
It's not little. It's massive. It's one of these homes that's got like the massive wraparound porch.
Uh-huh.
And I think they used this house as the set for like 5 different places in this movie, including the nursing home we see later. Because everything in this movie had a really big white picket fence.
Yes.
Well, that's smart.
So her neighbor is outside. Her horny older neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Selma or Thelma?
Selma. Now this woman had to be in her mid to late 80s.
Okay, now this is Bonnie. What did I say her name was? Bonnie Benning Brewer. That's her.
Oh, that's her. Okay.
Who though?
Yeah.
The old lady?
Yes. Bonnie Benning Brewer.
Oh. She was very horny for an old lady.
Oh yeah.
So she says hi. She says hi to Maggie, and Maggie's like, "Oh, it's my anniversary." And Selma says, "Well, someone's gonna get lucky." And I was like, "Damn, Selma."
But then she warned her because this woman's name is Maggie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maggie is the one. So Maggie had lasagna for her husband, and then Bonnie Benning Brewer said, well, you better be careful because my husband died from a clogged artery from lasagna.
Uh-huh.
And then
that was the warning.
She said something so heinous that it made me hate the character Selma immediately. Do you know what that was?
What? Let's go.
She told Maggie to sneak veggies in there.
Oh, Jason, were you disgusted?
Oh, I was so mad. So mad.
But then we see that Maggie's being watched by someone. So she's reheating the lasagna. She's making a salad. So at this point, Jason, I'm sure you were like irate.
Well, at least a salad. It's on this. It's not in. She was telling her to put them in the lasagna, which no. But like if it's on the side, you don't have to eat it. You just put it where it belongs in the trash.
I made a mean vegetarian lasagna. It's good stuff.
Well, that's just a lot of cheese. That's good.
All the good stuff in it. But anyway, this woman, Maggie, and I ain't going to work on Maggie's farm no more, but that's another story. But Maggie puts on this sexy little outfit.
Yeah.
Which did not look safe to be cooking in.
No. Like she was going to get burned any second.
Because it was like a bra and panties, but like a sexy, like sheer robe, and she was wearing heels.
Yep. So Maggie gets a text, and the text says, "Honey, I'm stuck in Ohio. I've got to stay a little longer." And Maggie's pissed. And she's but she's still being watched.
Was that Kurt?
Well, then Alan arrives, which I didn't understand. He just said he was.
I think he was joking. It was like trying to psych her out that he wasn't coming home, which made no sense to me because I'm like, wouldn't he have known like 5-6 hours ago that he wasn't flying home?
Right.
Okay.
So
Strange.
She's happy, and he says, "Well, let's work up an appetite." And so the next morning, he's leaving for work. And he has a Corvette. And she says, "Honey, I got you a gift." And she's like, "Remember you said that if you ever got a Corvette, you wanted fuzzy dice?" And she got him fuzzy dice for his Corvette. Then she asks him if she could come with him on his business trip. And he's like, "Nope, can't do that."
Nope.
Company doesn't allow it.
And nope, not allowed. Yeah. So then she goes back to Selma's house with like a plate of extra lasagna. And at first, Selma opened the door and she was really aggro.
Yeah.
Because she's like, "What are you doing here?"
It was a weird. I don't know if it was just there was something that was cut out of the movie we don't know about, or if it was just a bad take and they left it in. But the attitude made no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought maybe that was her mother or something like that. It was it seemed like there was some kind of relationship there.
And then Selma was mean, but then she was like, "Well, can you take me to the mall?" And she's like, "I got a date in 40 minutes. No, I got a date.
No.
It's a 40-minute drive."
Yeah, she didn't even ask if Maggie could take her. She told Maggie, "You're taking me to the mall 40 minutes from here."
Yeah, what the hell?
After she just gave her attitude for bringing her food.
Right. So then Maggie gives her a ride. And then Maggie asks, "Well, hey, you're going to need a ride home?" And she's like, "Not if I get lucky."
She's like, Mama's family's on
she's just.
Yeah, she was.
So she's just stranded at the mall now?
Yeah.
It looks like she's got game.
Something about like she says something like, if he can make it walking to Orange Julius, I know he's got the stamina or something like that. That's a pretty funny line.
They're doing a walk.
Yeah,
she was gonna get him in the bushes.
Yeah, he's gonna get her in the bush.
Damn.
So
dirty.
So then Maggie looks around and she sees her husband's Corvette.
Okay.
Which he told her he was going out of town. Why is he here?
Yeah.
So she follows him, and I wrote here, this movie likes yellow houses because there were a lot of yellow houses in this movie.
Maybe it's the same yellow house we keep saying.
Yeah.
So she follows him to this yellow house, the garage door is open. She goes into the garage, and a woman comes out, and she's got like a screwdriver, right?
A knife.
Oh, it's a knife. And she's like, this is my car. And Maggie's like, no, it isn't. This is my husband's car. And then the woman says, this is my husband's car.
It's never explained where Alan is at this point, because he was just driving the car moments ago.
Right.
Right. And she's following him. And so she meets Pam, and Pam and Maggie find out they are married to the same man.
Uh-oh.
And Pam is like, I knew it. He was always working. And then Pam is like, he owes me money.
Well, they also both have the same picture of Alan on their phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's an app or something that Alan is making money off this, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably like his
So-
Facebook profile photo, and they're just like, oh, that's a nice photo of you. I saved it.
Okay. The consensus
So
is in. That's the best picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he owes Pam money, and he owes Maggie money. So Pam is like, let's go to his job and get the money he owes us. So they go to his job, and they go to Pete in payroll, and Pam starts trying to butter Pete up, like, oh, that shirt looks good on you. And he's like, oh, I got it in a garage sale. And then she's like, this is my single friend, Maggie.
Oh.
And
I would have worn something
and
nicer
then-
from that garage sale.
Yeah. Maggie
Right.
notices some sort of like fantasy book on his bookshelf. And so she's a librarian. She starts like talking him up about this book and distracting him.
His geeky book.
Right. Right. And this is an HR nightmare, and I'm sure that this guy could be fired because I didn't think that you were allowed to give out payroll information to anybody.
Well, he's not giving it out willingly.
They were sneaky about it.
Yeah.
Well, at one point, Christine, what's her name?
Kristen.
Pam. No, Pam's number. This is Pam. Maggie and Pam. Pam. So Alan. Oh yes. Okay. So Alan says that the beneficiary is Alan's ex, Kristen, and
Right.
Pam just says name, and then he gives it the name. Well, yeah, because that's when he tells her it's Kristen.
Right.
Kristen.
So then
Baker.
they go to the bank. And
This movie
the
is
bank,
about errands. It seems like.
right.
Yeah.
Because then they go to the bank, and they're talking to the banker, and then the banker is like, it's in his wife Heather's name. And then one of them, I think it's Pam, says, this Alan is like a Pandora's box of bigamy.
Yeah. Good line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are actually
This should be
some
great
witty
for what's
lines
going
in
on.
this movie. I will give them credit for that.
They should be grateful
then
this
there
is
is-
going on. It gives them something to do. They don't think they have much else to do.
Well, Maggie's
Right.
got that job at the library that she keeps blowing off.
Oh, that's right. Well, why does she work? Ah,
So then they're in the parking lot, Maggie and Pam, and a blue car drives by with a guy giving them the stink eye.
A young guy.
And
Young twink.
a young guy. Yeah.
a young boy.
So then Pam, was it Pam or Maggie who was like, I got to go pick him up at the airport?
Sounds like something Pam would say.
Yeah. So then Maggie,
I just noticed,
goes
I just
home.
realized the logic of that moment of Pam having to pick him up at the airport when Alan was literally just at the house because that's where Maggie trailed him to when she saw his car driving around.
yeah.
I guess he gets a lot
So-
of miles.
Yeah.
I guess so. So then Alan comes home and Maggie is snooping, but then he comes home and she pretends like she's doing yoga. And now what happened? Because she said she was telling Adam she was sweaty, right? Alan, she was sweaty, right?
Yeah, because he wanted, basically, because she had been snooping in his office, she claimed she was doing yoga in there, and he's like, why in here? She's like, oh, the sunlight's good. And then he was like trying to like, oh, let's go have sex. But she wanted to get him out of the house because she had sort of messed up things in the room by snooping. So when he was trying to have sex with her, she kind of blew off his advances.
So then Alan was talking. So then Maggie's talking to Pam, and Pam's like, we should go and talk to Alan's mom. And then Maggie's like, he told me that his mother was dead.
I see dead people.
But she was not dead. She was at the Shady Tree retirement home.
Okay.
And
which is in Colby, the same place where Selma was going to go get dicked down.
Right. So then they're talking. Yeah. So I wonder if she's like, with someone at the retirement home.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Things are going down in there.
So then Alan's mom tells Pam and Maggie, listen, tell Alan he needs to pay the bill.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking about Kristen, his ex, and she talked about how Kristen wore too much eyeshadow. And she was like, Alan has so many girlfriends, I can barely keep him straight. Yeah. And then Pam bought her some tater tot casserole.
What's that? I've never heard that. Never had that before.
Well,
it's probably like tater tots and some cream mushroom soup and maybe some yeah,
it's
French onion soup.
It is.
That was a big thing in the 70s. You would make a casserole with like different Campbell's soup mixes.
Hey, this looks good. I might make this.
Oh,
this
you
show
looked it
may have
up?
made an impact on my life.
Are we sharing more recipes? Were we doing recipes last week for hobo? What was it? Hobo dinners?
Yes,
dude. I want to make this. This is 1 pound ground beef. I'd replace it with just turkey. You got 1 can condensed cream of mushroom, a little salt and pepper, 1 16-ounce package tater tots, and 2 cups shredded cheddar cheese. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I would do a different cheese. I don't know if I want cheddar with the cream of mushroom.
I sub different cheeses.
So Kurt, you must make it this week and share with us next episode how it turned out.
Let's see. At least within the next month or so. So thank you, my husband's 7 wives. Excellent.
So then they go and see Kristen. And a lot of Alan's exes, he had sort of a type. He kind of liked him tough.
Well,
yeah.
There was a point early in the movie when they were trying to establish the relationship between Alan and Maggie. We were talking about how does Alan keep it all straight? And I'm wondering if he does. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So what do you mean by maybe he's got a type.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kristen was a little different though. She was a bit brassy.
So they go to Kristen and they're like, and they're like, are you married to Alan Baker? He's married to us too.
Yeah.
And so then Kristen says, yeah, he comes and goes a lot. There's sometimes I didn't even see him for a month. And
I thought that the title of this movie kind of ruined the movie in a way. Because, you're just waiting for the next wife.
Right. Yeah, fair. It does sort of take away the mystery of it. Although for when you're trying to market a movie on a network like Lifetime, you need the audience to know what they're in for out of the gate.
Yeah, I guess so.
So then, they tell Kristen about the money and how they're looking for the money. And then Maggie has to go to her car for something. And as she's in her car, she looks over and she sees the guy from the blue car that was giving them the stink eye earlier in the movie. And so she gets her tire iron and she's ready to fight. And it turns out that this is Maxie, Kristen's son.
With Alan. Well, do we know, is Alan the biological father? I think that was implied.
She said it was another woman.
No, Pam said that about her son.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, it is his son.
Maxie looks frightened.
Well,
I'd be frightened if Kristen were my mom too.
Yeah,
he's scared.
And Maggie did just like threaten him with a tire iron.
Yeah.
All right, but I don't know. It's like he carries this frightenedness. Maybe he's traumatized.
Yeah.
So then Maggie and they talk about how then Maggie sets up a control room in the library, in the storeroom in the library.
It's a storage room that looks like a fully functioning classroom.
Right. And then, so they do like what they do on Elsbeth, and they have the whiteboard with all the pictures on it.
Yeah, Homeland.
And
that was a nice touch how they wrote that into the script, though, as to like why because they basically needed a way of visualizing this for the audience watching this movie, but they wrote a couple of lines of dialogue to justify having this stupid whiteboard, and it actually worked.
Yeah, Kristen was a visual person.
Yeah.
I can't read that document.
So then they narrow down the suspects. Then they follow him and they see him with another woman.
Yeah.
But he turns around and it's Pam, I think.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But he catches Pam snooping.
The way when she was like in her car and she just threw herself down out of frame. That was so funny.
She hides on the floor. Yeah.
So then they're still looking and they can't find another wife. And so Maggie at this point is frustrated and she's like, listen, I got to go do my workout. So she's stretching for her workout. And then we realize, oh, this is the beginning of the movie. This is the cold open. And she screams. And then she wakes up and she's tied up. And then there's two criminals. And the criminals are like, the one criminal's like, well, we're supposed to scare her. And the other criminal's like, oh, come on, don't even scare. Don't bother with that.
And she's near a
actually
lake.
being really nice to her.
She's outside near a lake too.
Yeah.
I think the reason why the criminals were charming is that they weren't menacing. There was a bit of comedy to the way in which they were used, because we didn't want to really feel like these women were in actual danger for something Alan did, because Alan's not there. And it was almost like they cast an Anthony Anderson type.
Right.
Okay.
And then he's like, you want some water? Like they give her water. Yeah. They're being nice to her. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, listen, he owes my boss $30,000. And she's like, well, he took my money too. And they're like, so listen. So she talks him into letting her go, but he's like, you got to give me something. And so they work out a deal, and then he's like, okay, so listen, when you find him, you text me.
He gives her a business card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What criminals have gone to Vistaprint and they're like, people need to be able to reach me. If I'm going to be criming, I'm just going to bump cell phones, or we're going to trade numbers that way? No, they didn't need a card.
Right. He's like, text me when you find something.
Well, they've got a cover. They got a legit business they're working behind.
So then So Maggie goes and tells the other women, and Kristen's like, oh, he came after me already. And then we find out Maxie is the one that sent them to Maggie. To go hassle her. And Maggie's pissed for good reason.
Yeah.
Right.
And Kristen's like, don't you talk to my son that way? You need to apologize to my son. And Maggie's like, no, he sent after me. I'm not going to apologize to him.
He's in the wrong.
So then, they're talking about how we need to stop him from doing this to yet another woman. And so then Max goes to talk to Alan. And Max is like, what was the deal? It was like, give me the money and then 15% interest.
Yeah, Max basically, because Max realized that he's got money somewhere. So he talks to Alan. He confronts him about the other wives. He's denying it, of course. And I wrote my notes initially, Max is the dumbass twink or not. Because then he tells Alan, okay, you need to move out. I'll help you hide the money for 15% of it. Now,
and then this is where we all...
But
go ahead.
None of this makes sense because Alan doesn't respect his kid, has been stringing him along about sending him to college, and now Alan's in need, and he's just going to believe that his teenage son knows how to embezzle money and move it around?
Right.
I don't know.
Meanwhile...
Strange situation over there.
Meanwhile, we meet another wife. Adrian.
Another?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Adrian's telling them about Heather, his wife who died. And
I see dead people.
It turns out that his wife died from eating seafood. And she had a huge seafood allergy. And she was always, always, always diligent about staying away from seafood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And was collecting a pension, by the way.
Yeah. And then this is where Maggie says, this seems fishy. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
And they all laugh at the fact that Heather died from this horrible death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we find out that that Alan has an RV.
Well, also, Alan never reported Heather dead. So that pension money is still coming. And there's still an account open in her name.
Right. And then we find out Heather. So they talk to Heather's sister. And then, this is where they find out that her murder, because the sister's like, no, she was murdered. And then we find out he has another dead wife.
I see dead people.
But she died of cancer.
Yeah, she wasn't murdered.
No.
So then, which one went to the RV? Was it Kristen or Pam?
Kristen.
So Kristen goes to the RV, and he's not there, and she finds money, so she takes it.
My favorite moment, I think, of the entire movie, except for Pam ducking out of the way, was Kristen walking out of the RV and just kicking a plant.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a nice touch
funny.
by the actor, because I'm sure that was an ad lib.
Yeah.
Kick the flower.
Yeah.
So Maggie goes home, and Alan is there. And he makes Maggie lemonade, but she's afraid to drink it because they just had the conversation about Heather, who died from seafood. And then Maggie says, well, she's going out with friends. And she went to go meet, who did she go meet?
She says Sam, Sue, and Beth. She comes up with these names. He's like, who are you going to see? Sue and Beth. I don't know them.
Yeah, because he's trying to get her to drink this, like, his world-famous lemonade.
Right.
Ooh,
and she's like, I'm not that stupid.
I could have a 7-wife dinner. Have my tater tot casserole with the world-famous lemonade.
So then she goes to sleep over at Pam's house.
On the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Pam's like, sleep on her couch. And so she's sleeping. And then this is where Pam's dumbass son comes home.
Well, there was a couple dumbass things that happen before the son even comes home. First of all, if Maggie really feels she's in danger from Alan, isn't it because she knows that Alan knows she knows what's going on? So why do she and Pam then think that she's any safer at Pam's? That's one thing. Second of all, Pam also has a very large house and puts Maggie in the front room, living room, rather than like in a bedroom or something that's like a little more removed from the front door.
Right.
Well, she doesn't want to change the sheets or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And why is this son come and automatically think this person is a threat?
Right. Like, it's like your mom could just have someone sleeping on the couch. Doesn't your mom have friends?
Everybody's grabbing a knife.
Because he's gonna like beat her ass.
Think about it
He's gonna,
though.
like, hit her with something.
If you were a teenage kid and your parents don't usually have people coming over unannounced, and you walked in your living room, there's a stranger on your couch, you'd think that was weird, wouldn't you?
No, because my parents always had some friend getting drunk
never.
sleeping on our couch.
That was not my life.
Well,
there was always someone sleeping on our couch.
It's my life now, but it was my life then.
yeah, we didn't have to. But while this is going on, isn't Alan kind of crawling around on the floor?
Yeah, he's there too. He broke in.
Yeah.
I guess
He's
has a
hiding.
key.
He's hiding in the kitchen. I think he has the knife, actually.
He does.
Everybody knows where the knife drawer is.
So
Again, he lives there.
Oh, that's
Right.
He had
true.
a key.
Well, I got confused. He lives in so many places.
that kid was gonna beat her ass, though. He really was.
Which house am I in? Where do I keep the knives in this house? Oh, yes.
Oh, so who said, "Do you ever feel like running away"? Was that Maggie to Pam?
I think so.
I don't know.
So anyway,
Wherever you go, there you are.
so then Alan sees Max again, and he gives Max the bank account info, and he tells Max, "Take out what I owe your mom," which I was like, "That's rather trusting." He's like, "Oh, take out what I owe for your mom and the 15%."
He's turned over a new leaf.
So then Max now controls the account, and Max just went and told the women, and there was $200,000 in the account.
243,000. Yeah.
And then they work out that everyone's going to get back at least half of what he took from them. And they also find out that the way that he got marriage licenses is he went to states where you didn't have to be the resident of the state.
Little helpful hint in case you want to do this with your life. Now, how does it work
And
again? He went to states where you didn't have to have a license. That's what it was?
Yeah, because a lot of states you don't need to be a resident to get married there. So he would go to states where he wasn't a resident, but you also didn't need to be a resident to live there. That's why they all seem to have gotten married in different states.
And he kept them far enough away from each other that they'd never overlap.
Like separate cities, like not really close enough where they'd run into each other, but close enough where he could drive there in a day.
So
Yeah.
let's say I'm married in New Jersey, then I go to Pennsylvania,
Right.
and then Pennsylvania is not, and then I could get a separate license in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
because
then
they're
then
not
he went to
checking it
Delaware.
against a database of like, oh, he seems to be married here already.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And then they figured that, his dead wife's accounts were still open too. And so the 30,000 that they owed the robbers were still in play.
Yeah.
I
And
want to know
so-
why that's their responsibility.
They're
Oh, because
being-
Because he said because the robbers were like, well, you're his wife. So they're like, you're his wife, and if we don't get the money, we're gonna kill him.
She's like, no, I'm not. She is. They're
So
just
then the
being very
robber,
diligent.
so the robber shows up, and then they go into like a negotiation because she's like, listen, I'm not gonna get the whole 30,000, but I can give you something. And so she's like, if I can give you something, can you leave the wives alone and then just go after him? And you can do whatever you want with him. But just if we give you half, will you leave us alone? So they negotiated, and they negotiated, what was it, $12,000?
Well,
And
she was
the
pushing
robber's
for
like,
12, but the Anthony Anderson type got it up to 15.
So then Anthony Anderson's like, okay, so you give us 15,000, we'll leave you alone and the other wives alone, and we'll go after him. And then he was like, so listen, if you need help, text me and I will magically appear.
He's always nearby.
And once again, I wrote, he's so nice.
Yeah.
He's like the Maytag repairman. He'll just show up.
Like he liked her.
Like they probably follow each other on Instagram.
Right. And
Yeah.
he would smile at her like he liked her.
Yeah.
She was like his buddy.
Yeah.
Sure. Patty Hearst was friends with those people who kidnapped her and got involved with, so there's
No,
always
but
different
they
ways to
locked
start a
her in a
relationship.
closet. They locked Patty Hearst in a closet.
Well, they did the same to Harry Potter, and he got through it, and that's how relationships are made.
But
I'll tell
Maggie,
you
they
what.
were buds.
I didn't know they locked her in a closet. That's unfortunate.
So then the dad, Max, is talking to Alan, and Alan's like, oh, listen, Max, we should talk about college.
Well, Max says, your wives are meeting up at the library tonight. He's like, what, are they in a book club or what's happening?
Yeah. So then we see Pan and Maggie. They're at the library. Alan's watching them.
Well, Alan is in the parking lot of the library, not in his Corvette. So he's in another car. So he's got all these cars. Like, they're all worried about, like, how are we going to get our money? There's, like, a zillion cars and houses yet. Like, sell it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Alan shows up, and he's like, listen, you put these cuffs on your wrists.
Yeah.
They're little twisty things
Like
like
the
that
zip
are
ties.
on bread bags.
Yeah.
No, it's plastic zip ties.
Oh, okay, that's a little better.
Yeah.
But then Kristen, Adrian show up. And then it's Kristen, Adrian, Maggie, Pam, and Maxie.
All the ladies.
Yeah.
And Maxie. Yeah.
And
the ghosts of the other wives showed up too.
Right.
We're all
and then
here.
Alan is like, come away with me. And he begs them all.
Yeah, I like that he does give it a shot. He goes to each one of them, see which one of them will go along with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he leaves, and the cops are outside waiting for him.
Under arrest.
When they arrest him, he was such a pansy. He's like, ah!
Yeah. Right. Right. So then it's over. Everybody's happy. We see Kristen and Maxie. They're having pizza. Everybody's celebrating. And by the way, Kristen had taken the money from the RV, and she had it at her house. But she didn't tell the other ladies that she had the money.
No.
Right.
So Maxie and Kristen are having pizza, and then all of a sudden we hear something outside, and they go outside, and there's like a fire in their garbage can.
We should point out that the $243,000, which is different than the money Kristen found. Kristen and Max had it, and they were all going to meet up and distribute that money. They hid it in the dishwasher at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
So they had a fire.
Looked like a smoke machine, like a theatrical smoke machine was in there.
Yeah.
Not a
But
fire.
Kristen acted unfazed, whatever it was. She was like, just put some water on it.
Well, it's got a scent like a strawberry flavored sort of thing. So
Yeah.
Right.
maybe they soaked
They
that
go
in.
back
And they
to-
had a
but they
strobe
go back-
light.
Yeah. Maxie
but
had
they
an
go back inside.
epileptic attack from this.
Yeah.
They go back inside.
There was no
and he
warning.
got the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan went and opened the dishwasher. Alan had like seen errors of his ways. He was going to start helping out, put dishes away. But then he opened it
Right.
up. He saw the money. He's like, "Forget it. I'm taking this."
This is
Right.
the sign.
But I might vacuum.
Yeah.
And so then
The house has never been cleaner, frankly.
No, it's really you start taking some accountability.
but all the money was gone.
All of it, $243,000. Okay,
So then Kristen had to go break it to the ladies.
Bring
All
it.
the money was gone. And so they're dispersing. So, but then Kristen's like, I still have 10,000.
And we also find out Alan's out on bail.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually made his bail. So they're all sitting around the table and they're all dispersing their money, which they're not getting a lot. And Adrian's upset because Adrian's like, all I need is money to keep my house.
But don't they all?
But I think Kristen was like, I think Adrian was like getting foreclosed.
But
Yeah, I
they
thought so.
all had money problems. They all were like, he had
But I think,
milked all their accounts. How is she the only
thought-
one that's like on the edge of foreclosure?
but I
thought she
think
was
hers
hustling.
is like, if she didn't pay it immediately, she was like, the house was gone.
Yeah.
$5,000. Dude.
They 5,000. So they all gave her their money. And it was like, oh, they're sister, because they had a sisterhood now. They were sisters. And so,
Yeah, I guess.
so they gave her the money, and then Maggie goes home, and Alan's Corvette is at her house. And
She sends a text.
she sends a text, right? And then Alan is like, don't believe them. They're all just jealous of you. And then the criminal, who we find out his name is Curtis. I didn't know his name was Curtis until
No.
I love it though. I was like, oh, he looks like a Curtis. So Curtis shows up. And Curtis is like, so she texted me. I'm like, oh, and I wrote, well, yeah, he said to text him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he'd
she did the
show
right
up.
thing.
She sent him a you up text.
Right, exactly. You up, Curtis? And he said he sent her an eggplant emoji and came right over.
Yeah.
But what does the eggplant mean?
Oh, Kurt.
Kurt.
That's the only time I like an eggplant.
Kurt Fitzpatrick.
I'll have to do a search on that.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, definitely do a
My
search for
husband
that.
calls them in the UK.
Let me find out.
In the UK, they call them aubergine. Did you do a search?
I'm working on it right now.
Just ask Jeeves what. Yeah, just
No,
ask.
I'm looking up what it is. Let's see. It's
Ask about the peach
eggplant
as well.
emoji. It's
ask about the peach.
Unicode name as an journey.
Google.
Social media.
Go.
Stop. Social media users have noted the emoji's phallic appearance and often use it as a euphemistic or suggestive icon during sexting conversations in order to represent a penis. Yeah, but what is this? What does that mean? It's not telling you to do anything.
When you send the eggplant emoji, you're saying you're showing your dick.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it could mean something like, "Sorry, I am a dick."
Now
No.
Google
What does it mean
peach.
if someone says you an
No.
eggplant?
No.
Peach emoji?
Yeah, peach emoji.
Yes.
Okay, let me take a look at that. Peach emoji. Let's take a look here.
Google.
Peach emoji.
Google. Google.
Stop it. All right. It's noted for its resemblance to human buttocks or the vulva, owing to the center crease, and is consequently frequently used as a euphemism for such on social media.
I actually didn't know
is
that people use it as a vulva as well. I thought it was only for a butt.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was a butt, and then I saw some of my straight friends doing it. That's when I was like, oh, something's up.
Straight people like the butt too.
Oh yeah, that's
Well,
true.
I haven't received any of these messages. So, but peachy, the emoji that's become a political statement. So there's a whole different, all different kind of the sexy peach emoji has joined the resistance, according to the Washington Post. no longer just for sexting or cobbler. Everyone's favorite thick stone fruit is now a juicy anti-Trump symbol.
There you go.
All right.
Okay. So Curtis and his friend, we never find out Curtis's friend's name.
No.
So Curtis and his friend take Alan away, and Alan's screaming, "Help me, help me!" But before they take Alan away, Maggie goes and grabs the keys to the Corvette.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
And then as they're dragging Alan away, Curtis is like, okay, see you later, Maggie, bye.
Do we
That's it.
know
All's
what
well that ends well.
what ultimately happens to Alan? Did they kill him? Like, what did they do with him?
I'm sure they killed. Well, no, because remember,
Because there's
Curtis
no
was
murder
like-
that we see in this movie. Where the only murders we know about are the two first wives.
but Curtis told Maggie, if I don't get my money, we're gonna kill Curtis. If I don't get if my boss, he's like, if my boss doesn't get his $30,000, we have to kill Curtis.
The ethics are foggy here.
Yeah.
Now, would Maggie be responsible for the harm that's done to Alan?
I don't
That's
think
tricky.
she called a hit on him, so I'd say no.
Right.
She's just calling her friend, Curtis.
Because the only reason she's in danger and knows Curtis to begin with is because Alan put her in danger by stealing their
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. Okay.
So
She shouldn't tell anybody what just happened. I would advise her for that.
So Curtis gets taken away. No, so Curtis takes Alan away, and then the next day, she and Pam are hanging out with Selma
In
And
Alan's
Selma is
office.
in Alan's office.
It should be pointed out, by the way, that they made a big deal early in the movie. There was like a flashback to when Alan and Maggie first moved into the house and how Alan had done this like job on the drywall. And I thought it was really funny because the wall they keep staring at is this wall with like all these photos on it. And there is a light switch in the middle of the wall in the middle of the room. It is the weirdest place I've ever seen a light switch placed.
So they're hanging out in his office. Selma's there. Selma's giving them advice on men.
Oh yeah, did you hear her advice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Date
handsome and
handsome.
marry rich.
Very rich, yeah.
She's not wrong. So then, so there's a picture of Alan next to his Corvette, and Maggie hated this picture. So all of a sudden, she gets angry at the picture. She knocks it off the wall, and then she punches the wall, and she punches a hole in the wall.
Well, she had something in her hand, like a trophy or
okay.
something.
But it knocked a hole in the wall. And they find out there's money in the wall, a lot of money. And so they find all the money, and their problems are solved.
Yeah.
So then the next scene, all of
Money-
the women are there.
I was gonna say money is the solving of every problem.
Right.
But now they're having a boozy picnic.
They're having a boozy picnic. We find out that Selma has moved in with Alan's mother. They're now roommates.
I
And-
legitimately thought for a split second that we were going to find out that Selma and Alan's mom were in a lesbian relationship all of a sudden.
Right. They
Just
mama's
imagine.
familyed.
Yeah.
They send each other peach emojis.
And then Maxie shows up, and we find out that Maggie sold the Corvette, and it became Maxie's college tuition, and she gives him a check for his college tuition.
Corvettes are worth that much? Let me see. worth.
I don't think he was going to like an Ivy League school, even though he knows how to like move money around. I think he's probably just going to go to community college.
Yeah.
They're a little expensive. Corvette Z06 is about 114,000.
Oh,
so that's enough to like. Oh, what? Actually, that is like enough for like if it's a state school.
Yeah.
That is
This
enough.
is 2000. This is for 2025 Chevrolet Corvette pricing. You can get a Stingray for about 70. This is the, I don't know if you could get the price down at all. You go to a dealer, but
well, not now.
Yeah.
Not after today.
This is Kelly
That's
Blue Book.
true.
Oh yeah, problems. Kelly Blue Book. This song. Okay.
Kelly, Kelly Blue Book. And that's the end of the movie. And yes, I liked this movie. I liked that they leaned into it. They knew it was dumb and just leaned into it being dumb.
Yeah. I did have the realization when the movie ended, because throughout the whole movie we're talking about what a terrible person Alan is, but if you really think about it, they got a teenager to technically embezzle money from two dead people.
Who, the ladies?
Yeah, the two dead wives, because that's where Alan was storing the money, was in the accounts of these two dead people that hadn't been reported dead, and they enlisted a teenager to take these dead people's money.
So are these pensions going to stop now?
Not if they don't report the dead wives.
Well, maybe Max will major in cybersecurity or something.
Yeah.
That's true. I wonder why the one dead wife's sister doesn't report that her sister died. Wouldn't that kind of stop this pension?
Yeah. That's a good point, too.
Well, some holes in the story.
A little bit.
I don't think you could get away with marrying multiple people, even if it was different states.
I mean,
I
it's
don't know.
based on a true story.
Yeah, and it's happened before.
This is definitely a thing that happens.
Netflix? Don't you watch Netflix documentaries, Kurt? There's tons of Netflix documentaries
where they say talk about stuff like this.
Yes.
Well, that's got to be it. I don't know.
Yeah.
People want a whole heap of trouble in their lives. What are we doing?
Well, I enjoyed this movie actually.
I did too, because it was dumb, but it was a fun enough premise that I wanted to know what was going to keep happening.
Right.
Yes, I guess so.
Right.
I spent a lot of time at the libraries. I appreciate that.
Well, that's good. They know how to read.
Using our resources.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they're still open.
I hope they stay open. I didn't know that was a threat. I'm going to worry about that.
Well, I think that's it.
Oh my.
And if you want to find me, you can find me on my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Kirkendall. And actually, I have something coming up next month, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to announce it yet. So, Jason.
Okay, so do us all a favor and just look at whatever device you're listening to the podcast on right now, and look at what platform you're listening on, and hit the subscribe button. A lot of people listen to podcasts, they don't actually subscribe. You subscribe, downloads right to the device, reminds you that we're there every week, and please rate and review us. Give us 5 stars wherever you're listening to us. Helps more people find the podcast. You can find us all on social media. We are at Instagram, Facebook, and Threads at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast, on TikTok at Lifetime of Hallmark Pod, and on Bluesky at Lifetime of Hallmark. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Bluesky at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
Well, you can also hear me on certain select episodes of the Shelf Shedding Movie Podcast. So you could check that out with our friend of the show, Jason DeBray. I think that's it.
And I gotta find out when I'm doing the shelf shedding show as well.
You just mailed me some DVD.
Oh, and my friend, so remember my church friend?
Yes.
Sarah,
You'll
who I
listen
was
to our
talking
show.
about?
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah approached me and was like, a couple of weeks ago. Yes, a couple of weeks ago. And she's like, hey, remember, I still want to do your podcast.
Let's do it.
So we got to figure out something for her to watch.
Okay.
All right. She's still listening?
And yeah, because she came up, it was like a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, I still want to do your podcast, like out of the, like unwarranted. So there you go.
Okay.
Anyway, and that's, oh my God, I have an hour until yoga. So I gotta go. See you next week.
Bye.
Les, you didn't say goodbye.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
Bye.